jobs as hazardous when they're hazardous physically, also, you face a higher likelihood of being sexually harassed than literally any other type of worker in the country. Think about that before you send your 14-year-old daughter.
Are you on? Which side are you on?
We're going to go ahead and jump right into Boss Watch. So heading over to Florida, the U.S. Department of Labor has cited a Port St. Lucie tree service contractor for allegedly exposing workers to crushed-by hazards after an employee suffered fatal injuries while operating a wood chipper at a Boynton Beach work site in January of 2025. Investigators with the department's Occupational Safety and Health Administration cited Carlton's Tree Service with a serious violation for the death. To address the violation, the employer will pay a whopping $16,550 in penalties and take actions to amend the hazards. Really gross. You can learn more about OSHA on their website, including safe work practices when operating a chipper machine. Employers may contact the agency for information about OSHA's compliance assistance resources and for free help on complying with OSHA standards. In Virginia, Franklin, Virginia-based Mid-Atlantic Dairy Queen, doing business as Dairy Queen, entered into a conciliation agreement with the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission to resolve 2 sexual harassment charges. The agreements resolve charges where the EEOC's investigation found reasonable cause to believe the company violated federal anti-discrimination law by allowing 2 former employees who worked at the company's Granby Street location in Norfolk and the Lansdowne location in Virginia Beach to sexually harass multiple female workers from approximately July 2022 to February 2023, including some who were teenagers at the time. The harassers repeatedly made inappropriate sexual comments and engaged in unwelcome physical contact. The investigation found that Mid-Atlantic Dairy Queen knew or should have known of the harassment and failed to take corrective action or remedial measures. This resolution serves as a reminder that employers must take prompt, appropriate action when they learn that sexual harassment has occurred in the workplace, said EEOC Norfolk Local Office Director Norberto Rosa Ramos. Mid-Atlantic Dairy Queen has committed to preventing and addressing sex discrimination, including training its decision-makers to ensure adherence to applicable laws and regulations. The company's alleged conduct violated Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex, including sexual harassment. Following the EEOC's investigation of the charges, the parties engaged in the EEOC's pre-litigation conciliation process, resulting in settlements requiring Mid-Atlantic Dairy Queen to provide monetary relief totaling $100,000 for 2 employees who filed charges, as well as $45,000 for a group of 5 other female employees who experienced a sexually hostile work environment. The agreements also require the company to establish or update all written policies and procedures prohibiting discrimination on the basis of sex, prohibiting harassment, and prohibiting retaliation for complaining about, reporting, or otherwise opposing such discrimination. In addition, the employer agreed to conduct sexual harassment prevention training for leadership and employees to be monitored for compliance for 3 years and to post a workplace notice regarding the resolution of these matters and the laws enforced by the EEOC. Stuff like this is always a good reminder for folks that, we think about these jobs. We think about working at Dairy Queen, working at Sonic, working at McDonald's or a grocery store as, a child's job. And, in many cases, that's fine, and it works out all right. I worked at a restaurant. And, well, I was about to say I worked at a restaurant and it worked out fine for me. But, there was a lot of, crazy stuff that happened at the restaurant that I worked at, too. But in general, restaurants, fast food places, service industry has the highest rate of sexual harassment of any industry in the country. Like, there is no industry where more people, particularly women, there's no industry where more people are sexually harassed on the job than the service industry. And so we really should, we think about these jobs as jobs for teenagers to take during the summer. And that's one of the reasons that these jobs pay so little is because we think of them as jobs for teenagers, even though most of the people who do these jobs are not, in fact, teenagers. They are adults. But we pay these people so little, despite the fact that they are, it's like actually a really hazardous job because you have so many, because there's such a high incidence of sexual harassment. And we don't think of working at McDonald's as a hazardous job, even though, like, aside from the sexual harassment, just working with the oils and, frying stuff, like the fries in the oil, like that can be a really hazardous job. And if you work in the kitchen of a restaurant for any amount of time, you are going to have permanent scars on your arms from accidents that happen or from the oil jumping on you and burning you. I mean, seriously, that's going to happen. If you work there for any amount of time, you're going to have permanent scarring, right? And we don't think about these jobs as hazardous jobs, but they're hazardous, like physically, they will injure you. And also, you face a higher likelihood of being sexually harassed than literally any other type of worker in the country. So, think about that before you send your 14-year-old daughter to work in places like this.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
Yeah, and I want to add a couple of things because I spent many years working in these kind of facilities, in the restaurant, fast food places, other service industry jobs. And it really underscores the need to unionize in these industries, right? Why can't these be good union jobs? Right. And if you have the collective power of a union in the workplace, that gives you another avenue to prevent and to address harassment when it occurs, right? Because just relying on the EEOC, especially this day and age, by yourself, right? Like, that's a really uphill battle. It's a really uphill battle, and a lot of folks do not make it through the process. And that's something we underscore a lot when we do the Boss Watch segment, is like, this is just who gets caught, right?
Right.
This is literally just the ones that got caught, and there's a press release about it. How many other situations are out there that we never find out about, that we never know, we never hear, that never gets reported, or it never gets prosecuted, right? So there's a lot of violence and harassment underpinning a lot of people's work lives. And the, most important thing you can do to address that is to organize with your coworkers and to build power together so that you're not just relying on the laws and the protection of government agents, but that you also have power on the shop floor and you can really take action together to back each other up.
Free American says DQs are known as dens of sin. I hadn't heard that nickname for Dairy Queens before. Gus Kroll says, wish Labor Notes would make a second edition of their sexual harassment book. It's good, but really dated. I hadn't even seen a sexual harassment book from Labor Notes, but it's something that a lot of people have to deal with. So I'm sure that there would be a need for it. I'm sure there is a need for it. Quirky Geek Girl says, if it isn't from your boss, speaking about sexual harassment, presumably it comes from the customers. Yeah, absolutely. And you have that dynamic of like the customer's always right. And so, you're really incentivized, particularly if you're a woman, to just like take it in a lot of times.
And I know like Union of Southern Service Workers has been organizing Waffle House workers. And one of the things that they have dealt with is a lot of violence occurring like in the Waffle Houses, in the parking lots, right? I mean, and it's a dangerous job.
My Waffle House, actually, the one on Pratt, apparently is no longer 24 hours because of like how much violence was happening there.
Wow.
Like there was like a murder or something.
Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a lot deeper than people make it out to be. And again, why can't these be good jobs? Because call me crazy, call me radical. I think someone who is working at McDonald's should still be able to afford rent and feed their families and have a decent quality of life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these people at Waffle House making, literally $3 or $4 an hour. Many of them having to deal with people being murdered in front of them. It's insane. It's insane. Over in West Virginia, Jordan Barab has some good news on worker safety for us for once, although it does come out of tragedy. So, I don't know if you can actually call it good news. I recommend folks reading his full reporting on his website, Confined Space, jordanbarab.com/confined space. You know, when I pull from his stuff, I always leave some stuff out to encourage you to go subscribe to his newsletter and read the reporting, but it's really good. But the gist of it is that there was a Milton, West Virginia city worker, Paul Linville. He died in a trench collapse last month. You would have read about that on Boss Watch if you get our newsletters at tvlr.fm. The city of Milton, West Virginia is now taking action to protect its public employees, so that's great. Unfortunately, Jordan says Milton will be the only city in the state to do so. As we reported, we being Confined Space, West Virginia is one of 23 states that provide no OSHA coverage for city and county employees. A 1998 law, however, provides OSHA coverage for state employees except those within the Department of Corrections and Health. Cities and counties in West Virginia can opt in to a program covering public employees. West Virginia has 55 counties and 77 incorporated cities, 148 towns, and 6 villages. None of them have opted to protect their public employees. The state also offers OSHA training to cities that request it, but no city in West Virginia has requested training in the past 3 years. The city of Milton may be about to change that. According to WSAZ News, whose reporters have been hot on the case of the missing public employee OSHA coverage, steps that the council is considering include reviewing safety protocols and purchasing or renting new equipment for their workers. The council also agreed to begin the process of opting into state OSHA coverage as allowed by state code. I didn't know there was such a thing, said city manager Mike Ramsey. I think everybody should have been opted in, but here we are. The city will also hold a hands-on OSHA training for the workers on September 30th and has plans to do a monthly training. Milton's intention to protect its public employees is commendable, but protecting the workers who repair our sewage and water facilities, maintain our roads and parks, pick up garbage, and generally make life livable should not be optional. It should be the law, as it is for private sector employees. When asked if he would issue an executive order or take other action to cover West Virginia public employees, Governor Pat Morrisey refused to make any kind of commitment, referring back to the 1998 law that makes covering public employees optional. And this segment of Boss Watch Union Busters covering national updates is sponsored by Labor Lab. Labor Lab is an employer watchdog organization. They're committed to safeguarding the right to organize through unions, collective bargaining, and mutual aid. They do this by combing through reports that union busters are required to file with the Department of Labor. Here are the new filings from last week. AEG Vision hired LRI Consulting Services for $425 an hour. Workers did have a union election scheduled there, but they withdrew their petition, and the union busters did not file until after the workers withdrew the union petition. Train Technologies hired East Coast Labor Relations for $4,000 a day. Workers withdrew their union election petition, and the union busters did not file until after the workers withdrew their petition. Provac hired Omar Quadra for $150 an hour. That union election is still open. Cooper's Hawk Intermediate Holding hired the Independent Center for Worker Education for $3,750 a day. Comfort Systems USA Southwest hired Labor Consulting Group for $425 an hour. Workers won that union election 24-21, but the union busters did not file until after the election. Famous Enterprises hired Berdzinski and Partners for $125 to $250 an hour. That union election is still open. We appreciate Labor Lab for their sponsorship of Boss Watch and for the work that they do to protect workers. You can find more at laborlab.us. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.